A young American couple, Jenai and Riley, arrive in Iceland, eager to explore its breathtaking landscapes and spend some quality time together. They check into a hotel and begin their sightseeing with a visit to a geothermal pool. Jenai appreciates that Riley has spent all his savings on this trip, though Riley insists it was nothing special. He just wanted to make her happy. She notices that Riley brought his father's vintage reflex camera and a stack of film. Surprised by his preference for outdated technology over a modern digital camera, she asks why. Riley explains that he dreams of capturing the imperfections of a moment rather than relying on software to correct them. He admits he's still learning but promises to take her portrait one day. As they explore the island, they visit an old church where a priest shares its history. He speaks about pre-Christian times, believing life was simpler back then, an era of long journeys and great discoveries. The couple continues their adventure, playfully capturing every moment on camera. Later, Jenai mentions that her father is a preacher. Though his church isn't as grand, she often visited and has always believed in God. They explore waterfalls, mesmerized by the beauty of the land. The trip feels perfect. However, that night, Jenai struggles to sleep. The constant daylight outside is unsettling. Looking out the window, she sees strange flashes of light in the distance, mistaking them for an exceptionally bright aurora borealis. Exhaustion eventually takes over, and she falls asleep. In the morning, Riley wakes Jenai at 10 a.m., but something strange happens. His digital watch now displays the year 2028. He doesn't notice. Jenai, still in her own time, struggles to wake up, and the endless daylight only makes it harder. The couple heads down for breakfast, but something is off. No one has prepared any food. The hotel is eerily silent. There's no staff, no other guests. Riley suggests they find a cafe, but when they step outside, the entire town is empty. There isn't a single person in sight. Traffic lights still function, and the signs above the stores remain lit, but the streets are deserted. They wonder if there's a local event or holiday. Riley recalls the solstice, an ancient celebration, and wonders if everyone is gathered there. Walking through the abandoned streets, they shout, hoping for a response, but there's nothing. No employees in shops, no pedestrians, no voices. Their personal phone calls go unanswered. Eventually, they enter an empty cafe where Riley notices several working televisions. However, every channel is playing everything except the news. Jenai starts to panic. Riley is just as baffled. If there was a plague, where are the bodies? If aliens invaded, where are their ships? They rush back to their hotel room, where Jenai desperately tries calling her family and friends. But all lines remain silent. The internet still works, but there are no updates, no new emails, no social media posts, no sign of life anywhere. Riley checks a world map, only to see the same thing everywhere: empty cities. Desperate for answers, they head outside again. Eventually, they come across a working car. With no owner in sight, they take it. Driving around the city, they find the same eerie silence everywhere. Even the church is abandoned. Hoping to reach someone, they leave town, but the rest of the island is just as lifeless. Their parents don't answer. Only voicemail machines respond. Riley tries to stay logical, throwing out theories. Maybe it's a mass evacuation due to a virus. Maybe it's something supernatural, like the Second Coming. But Jenai, exhausted and overwhelmed, just wants to sleep. They return to their room. The next morning, Riley suggests making breakfast, but Jenai is drained. She can't even bring herself to move. Thoughts of divine intervention haunt her. Maybe they were chosen for something. After all, how else could they explain this? Riley, on the other hand, still believes it's a virus, that the island's population simply fled. He remains optimistic. He makes coffee for Jenai, then takes her to a store, where they load up 2 SUVs with groceries. Afterward, they pick out a house to stay in. Later, they go shopping for new clothes. Riley explains that the island's electricity is powered by geothermal energy, meaning it will likely keep running for a long time, at least until the equipment eventually breaks down. He does his best to keep Jenai distracted. They drink at a bar, play strip games, and try to make light of the situation. But in the morning, they wake up with hangovers and reality sets in again. Jenai keeps returning to the idea of being tested, that faith and religion are not the same, and that maybe this is all part of God's plan. But for now, one thing is clear. This world belongs only to them. Riley and Jenai continue exploring the island, with Riley taking pictures of Jenai in all the most scenic spots. One day, they come across a geothermal pool and enjoy a relaxing bath. They make love and fall asleep right there on the grass. When Jenai wakes up, she admires the beauty of the island while Riley tirelessly photographs her. During a grocery run, Jenai playfully punches cereal boxes while Riley, riding a shopping cart, loses control and falls, injuring his arm. That evening, he invites her to a romantic dinner. They dress up, and Jenai applies makeup, but the moment they sit down, she brings up the accident, unable to stop thinking about it. She pressures Riley to promise that he won't put himself at risk again. After all, what would happen to her if something happened to him? They are completely alone, with no one to help them. Despite Riley's reassurance, Jenai sinks deeper into depression. She misses home and thinks about a special book her father once gave her. Riley reminds her that they still have each other, and with all of humanity's achievements at their disposal, they can survive. As time passes, the food in the stores begins to expire. Jenai grows frustrated with Riley's habit of eating perishable foods without considering the future. Soon, the electricity will run out, and with it, the refrigeration that keeps their meat fresh. Riley suggests they take up farming and hunting, which only makes Jenai laugh. He might shoot a cow, but what would he do with it afterward? Jenai starts wandering alone more often. One day, she visits the church and, standing before its statues, asks questions aloud. Maybe they were the ones cast out of life while everyone else remained safe at home. Why did this happen to her? Seeing her distress, Riley tries to cheer her up. He takes her to different parts of the island, sharing its history and telling her that the heart of the earth beats here. But unlike him, Jenai doesn't feel the island's magic. One day, Riley shows her the wreckage of an old plane he discovered. He calls it beautiful, but to Jenai, it's just a reminder of the dead world they now inhabit. It's nothing more than trash, just like them. No one is coming to save them. Overwhelmed, she drives away in frustration but later returns to find Riley peacefully sleeping inside the wreckage. As time passes, Riley spends more and more time wandering the empty streets, photographing anything that catches his eye, only to throw away the film later since there's no way to develop it. He roams the deserted shops and suddenly realizes that once the power goes out, they won't have water in the house. Determined to prepare, he gathers supplies from a hardware store and brings them home. One day, he absentmindedly steps into an elevator, only to panic when the doors close. If the power goes out, no one will ever find him. Meanwhile, Jenai visits an abandoned cinema. Sitting in the empty theater, she breaks down in tears as memories flood over her. Back home, Riley builds a water collection system with a wind-powered motor in their yard. Meanwhile, Jenai stumbles upon an abandoned farm and rides a horse through the open fields. Later, she listens to old voicemails from her friends and family, the only remnants of the world she once knew. Wanting to share something meaningful, she takes Riley to a spot in the countryside that she has grown to love. As she watches him continue to take pictures, she's surprised that he still believes in capturing these moments. But Riley reassures her he will find a way to develop the film. Jenai points out that they are sitting on a glacier, a force of nature that kills all living things. Maybe even God has run out of patience. Later, they return to the city. They enter a flower shop, and Jenai is deeply upset to see that all the plants have long since died. Realizing how much the decaying city depresses her, Riley suggests they go camping. He convinces her that it's time to find a place where they can live comfortably, away from the ruins. Soon, Riley spots a house by the lake that seems perfect. They explore it, and even Jenai has to admit, it's beautiful. However, as they wander the area, they come across an old man named Niels, weak from hunger. They gladly share their supplies with him. Niels is shocked to learn there are no other survivors and believes the world has truly ended. When the disaster struck, he had been in the city but returned home, hoping to find his family. Jenai, thrilled to meet another survivor, is soon disheartened by Niels' resigned attitude. He tells her about his past, how he spent years away fishing to provide for his family, only to return and find them changed. His son had grown up, and his wife had fallen out of love with him. He accepts it as God's will, believing that people live in the world he created, not the other way around. He advises Jenai not to give up. She is human, and humans must fight. But if there was some divine plan, perhaps humanity has failed to fulfill it. The next morning, Riley informs Jenai that Niels has died. She is shocked. Riley says he found a cemetery by the lake and chose a spot next to Niels' family. But Jenai isn't sure they even missed him in life. Why would they be glad to see him now? Riley is puzzled by her thoughts, but Jenai suggests they don't bury him at all. No one needs it. Riley reminds her of human customs, but Jenai suddenly wonders, what if there are other survivors who need their help? She becomes obsessed with finding them. Returning to the city, she drives from house to house, marking the empty ones with red tape. Riley tells her she's looking for answers where there are none and that they should focus on making the most of their new life. But Jenai isn't sure this even qualifies as living. While she searches desperately, Riley completes his wind turbine. Time passes, and they continue walking around the island as Riley takes more photos of Jenai. One day, he brings her to a waterfall, telling her that water is always alive. It flows, freezes, melts, and flows again. Life persists. There is no yesterday or tomorrow, only today. They need to understand that and survive. But Jenai interrupts his musings with a kiss. Later, back at the house, Jenai notices the water supply running low. As she washes dishes in a basin, Riley goes to bed. Suddenly, she spots an email on the laptop. With trembling hands, she opens it and bursts into tears. It's a photo from Riley. The next morning, Riley walks into the kitchen and finds a large envelope addressed to him. He connects his water system, then opens the envelope. Inside are printed photos of Jenai, but she is nowhere to be found. A deep worry sets in. Riley rushes out, searching all their favorite places. Meanwhile, his system finally works. Water flows into the house without electricity. Driving frantically around the island, he finally finds Jenai's body floating in a geothermal pool. Realizing she did this willingly, he almost follows her, jumping into the water. But at the last moment, he resurfaces and climbs out. Sitting beside her, he cries, unsure of what to do. Then, without a word, he lays her body on the grass and walks away. Getting into the car, Riley drives aimlessly, not even holding the wheel. But gradually, his hands lower onto it. He grips it firmly, as if deciding to keep going. The film is called bokeh, the blurred parts of a photograph used to highlight what the photographer deems significant. Similarly, the director highlights the stark contrast between the last two people on Earth. One immediately accepts their fate and chooses to live, while the other falls into despair, searching for meaning. So, under such circumstances, what chance does humanity have for rebirth? So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.